Cameron Cowan is a writer, political commentator and thinker. He is the host of the Cameron Journal podcast and is an author of 3 books. Cameron joins us now to discuss American politics and the global economy as it stands. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, everyone. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's dive right into American politics. It's a big one. What are your predictions for the upcoming midterm elections in November? We're obviously seeing a lot of movement going on at the moment.
Yes, well, President Biden's poll numbers would indicate a shellacking for Democrats this fall, but given the changes regarding women's reproductive rights in this country and some of the legislation that's passed, things are ticking in the Democrats' favor. So what would have been probably a red wave is now going to be a blue tidal incoming, if you will. It's not going to be a blue wave, but it's things are turning in the Democrats' favor.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting. Now, season 2 of your podcast, The Cameron Journal, is almost over. What was your favourite part of recording these episodes? And perhaps you could tell us a little bit about some of the topics that you guys discussed.
Yes, so season 2, I was gone for most of the summer on a little writing trip. So I recorded the entirety of the season in 3 days. But my favorite episode was our episode on the American interstate system. So it was in its day, one of the biggest infrastructure projects in the world. And it has a surprising amount of controversy around it. So all the episodes are out now. The last one posted on Monday, the 29th. So it was really interesting to talk about cars, transportation, high-speed rail, all the hot topics of the day. But the interstate one is the one to look out for.
Okay, Cameron, turning back to politics, the global economy is obviously very difficult right now, and I was curious to know your take on the global recession and how things are hopefully going to balance out.
Yes, so the global recession we're post-COVID, and there's so many headwinds for the global economy right now. You have the war in Ukraine, you have China's continuing zero COVID policy that's a disaster, on top of a Chinese debt problem and falling economy, and you have the war in Ukraine, as well as just weakness throughout the whole system. So with all these different headwinds, which affects oil prices, commodity prices, all of these things, it's a very difficult time right now. I don't think it's going to even out anytime soon. We're at the beginning of this, not the end.
Yeah, it certainly seems to be the case. But let's touch on your novel, Cast Iron specifically, before we finish. How has it been received, and can you tell us a little bit more about what we can expect to see within the book?
Oh my goodness. So Cast Iron is about a young man who kills his stepfather with a frying pan and his life afterwards. It was a story that was told to me many years ago, and the book took me 10 years to write. What I did not know is how popular it would be in Australia. Half of the book sales have come from people in Australia. I had no clue, no intention about that. I'm like, this book is set in northeastern Missouri in the United States. Why are people reading it? But y'all down there love it, so keep buying. It's available at your favorite bookstores. It's a lot of fun. It's very interesting kind of take through rural culture in the early 2000s in America. So it's a lot of fun. So enjoy. You all seem to be already.
Isn't that cool? It's so interesting to think that we like these stories. Well, I suppose we do like a crime kind of fictional story, but what is it about everyday people? I understand that's a big part of what you enjoy writing about. You're fascinated by everyday people, and what is it about that fascinates you?
Well, I think there's lots of people that have lots of kind of small stories and dramas going on that are very interesting, that are very complex. And I think a lot of books and literature focus on the big stuff like A Devil Wears Prada, which is about Anna Wintour. We focus on that. But the reality is you can be a young kid in northeastern Missouri, your mom marries a new guy, things don't go well, and life can get very interesting. So I think there's lots of interesting stories out there. When told the right way, put in the right context, when all the drama is allowed to play out, it's just as fascinating as someone who's famous.
Absolutely, absolutely. Cameron, thank you so much for joining us and covering a wide range of topics. If people want to find out more about the podcast and perhaps tune in, where should they be looking?
Just visit CameronJournal.com. All the links are there. The podcast button is right up front, and I look forward to getting feedback from y'all and enjoy listening to the podcast.
Easy done. Cameron, thanks again for joining me on the program today.
Thank you.